Phantom of the Opera. Chapter 1. The Opera House. The Phantom of the Opera isn't just another ghost story. The Phantom really existed, secretly roaming the ground halls of the Paris Opera House. The air in the Opera House was humming with excitement. It was the first night under new management. Voices were warming up with high thrills, tra-la-la, and stagehands were milling around looking for props. The star of the show, Carlotta, stormed around complaining. "I see red grapes, you fool! How can I be expected to sing?" She wailed to no one in particular. When my throat hurts from all the smoke in the city. Down the corridor, from Carlotta, dancers fussed and fiddled with their costumes. But in one dressing room, the evening's performance was the last thing anyone was thinking about. "I heard the ghost has different haze that can change it as he pleases," said one of the dancers. "I've heard he has no nose," cried another whose own nose was widely admired. I thought he was a skeleton." "You are all wrong," said the third dancer smugly. "I've seen the Phantom with my very own eyes." The others turned to stare at her. "He has one head, and you could mistake him for a gentleman in his long black cloak and fine hat. But I don't know about his nose because his face was covered with a mask." "A mask?" the girl cried. The dancer paused dramatically. "They say the Phantom's face is so horrific and so frightening, it would make a grown man weep." "Ah!" screamed the girls. "Enough of that nonsense," erupted Madame G, who was in charge of the show. "We have a crisis. Carlotta is refusing to sing." The girls began to whisper among themselves. Go on." They dragged a shy girl named Christine over Madame G. "Christine can do it, but she doesn't know the part," cried Madame. "I do," said Christine softly. "I sing it every night after the show." Madame looked her up and down and sighed. "What choice do I have? Well, get into costume. Go!" Chapter 2. A surprising voice. The audience waited eagerly in their red velvet seats. They gazed up at the huge glass chandelier, suspended from the painted ceiling. Slowly the lights dimmed. The curtain went up and the guests warmed onto the wide stage. Their voices filled the air like a chorus of angels, and their bright costumes glittered as they danced. When Christine walked on the stage, it became dark and silent. A single light shone on her. She opened her mouth and sang from her heart. It was the sweetest sound I had ever heard. When she finished, there was a silence for a moment before loud applause erupted. The noise rang dizzily in Christine's ears, and she fainted. The audience watched this in the silence as Christine's limp body was picked up and carried upstage. She was placed in a chair in her dressing room. Madame G tried smelling salt under her nose, and she blinked open her eyes. "What happened?" "My dear, you were magnificent," said Madame G, fanning her with a handkerchief. "And you have a visitor. He's the Count," she whispered excitedly before rushing out. A handsome young man came into the room. "Mademoiselle," he said, tipping his hat. "Count, do you excuse me?" Christine tried to stand up. "No, please rest," said the Count. "You had quite a turn." I just came to say," he went on, "I'm a huge fan of the opera and I thought you were wonderful. You should sing every night. Christine blushed. I was just standing in for Carlotta. You're a million times better than her, he declared. Anyway, I'd better go. Good night. The Count shut the door behind him and leaned against it for a moment. He could hear a deep male voice coming from her room. But there was no one else in there. She mumbled. He had his ear to the door when a couple of dancers came by, so he quickly walked away. Chapter 3, The Phantom's Demand. What is the meaning of this? The new manager of the opera house waved a piece of paper at Madame G. I demand a sum of 2,000 francs per month. P.S. Carlotta sings like a toad. I want to hear Christine sing every night or else. It's the Phantom, she said nervously. I tell the girls he isn't real, but the truth is I've worked here for 20 years and we have always given it to him. She shuddered. If we don't tell, he'll make a big trouble. Phantom? You mean a ghost? Said the manager. Huh. If some crook who scouts around my opera house thinks he can swindle money out of me, he's got another thing coming. Suddenly, the door swung open and the stagehand burst in. It's Pico! He's been taken! Pico was manager's beloved dog. My little Pico! What? How? Sputtered the manager. I heard Pico barking and saw a man in a cloak in the shadows. Madame G shivered. It's the Phantom, mark my words, manager. Pay up quickly or something dreadful will happen. Chapter 4, The Angel of Music. The Count was hovering by Christine's dressing room. He had heard about the Phantom and he was worried about her, especially after hearing a strange voice in her room the week before. Count! Christine almost walked into him as she came out. She looked around nervously and blocked his view into her room. Can I help you? She asked with a bright smile. I just want to make sure you were alright after fainting last week. He paused as he heard the same deep voice coming from her room. Who's that? Oh, no one. Christine thrilled. I'm fine, thank you, but I was dashed. And she shut the door in his face. The Count was more puzzled than ever, so he did hid behind some costumes and decided to wait after a few minutes. Christine came out dressing in a hooded cloak. She rushed down the corridor and out of the opera house. The Count followed her along dark lamplit streets until they reached a small, gloomy graveyard. The moonlight cast creepy shadows on the ancient stone graves. The Count watched as Christine knelt by the grave. The church bell began to chime midnight. Sad violin music floated in the air. Christine swayed and sang along to the music as if in a trance. The Count was more captivated until he felt a hand on his shoulder that chilled him to the bone. He looked into the pair of blooded red eyes and let out a scream. Ah! The eyes so red, the Count sputtered. As he spoke, the figure vanished. Count, what eyes? What are you talking about? Asked Christine, running over to him. And the violin, did you hear the violin? Said the Count dazed. Christine looked afraid. Yes, I did, she admitted. But I don't know who's playing. I come here to sing at my father's grave. Before he died, he told me an angel of music would visit me. And has one? The Count opened his eyes wide. He comes to the opera house, she said. He taught me everything I know about singing, but I've never seen him. So the voice I heard? Yes, that's what him. He said, I'll be the most famous singer in Paris. Will you keep this secret? The Count looked serious. If you want me to, he said. Now let me walk you back, it's late.
Chapter 5. An unforgettable performance. The next morning was bright and sunny. Carlotta was lying in bed eating chocolate truffle when her maid came in with a letter. "What's this?" Carlotta demanded, her mouth full of chocolate. "If you appear on stage tonight, you must be prepared for misfortune worse than death." "It's the truth. Someone is telling me not to sing. How dare they? Get my thing. I'm going straight to the manager." In less than an hour, Carlotta was in manager's office. "Monsieur!" she shrieked as she slapped down the letter. He read it quickly and went pale. "It's the phantom," he muttered. "Phantom?" Carlotta's ear pricked up. "I am not afraid of ghosts. I will sing tonight." That night, the whole cast felt uneasy, but Carlotta wasn't in the least worried. "Phantom? Huh!" she declared. She fluffed up her costume and marched on stage. Carlotta lifted up her arm and opened her mouth wide. But all that came was a loud hush. "Crow!" The audience gasped. The Carlotta continued to croak later. The audience began to laugh. The manager, who was looking on in disbelief, heard a shrilling voice in his ear. "Carlotta sing tonight to bring the house down." "I beg your pardon?" The manager spun around, but the figure behind him had gone. At the moment, a deafening crack shook the hall. Everyone looked up. The glass chandelier which sparkled above the audience was coming loose. Plaster fell from the ceiling in great chunks, and the huge light swung dangerously. The audience began to scream and run from their seats. The singer on stage watched fell, narrowly missing Carlotta. Then all of the light went out, and a terrifying, ghoulish laugh echoed around the opera house. Chapter 6. Underground Secret. Backstage, Christine stared at the madness in terror as she watched a black cloak whirl around her, and she was swept away. She tried to scream for help, but her cries were muffled beneath the cloak. Blindly, she stumbled down a flight of stairs and along a maze of twisty paths. The air around her became colder and damper as she struggled to get there. Finally, her captor released his grip. She opened her eyes and blinked. Underneath the opera house was another world. She saw a misty lake with stony tunnels leading off in different directions. Huge candles flickered and wax dripped down the dark down wall. "Don't be afraid, Christine," said a deep, melodic voice. "You!" Christine gasped, spinning around. "My angel of music!" But he wasn't what she had imagined. She came face to face with a man in a mask. It was the Phantom of the Opera. She took a step back, afraid. "Don't be scared," he said. "I'm your friend. Please trust me." He took her shaking hand and led her onto the boat, which sat on the mysterious lake. The boat began to float away. Christine couldn't help but be enchanted. "It's incredible. I'm the voice you hear, but I'm no angel." He turned his masked face toward the shadow. "You are! You have been so kind to me." She paused. "Why do you hide down here?" "It's safe. No one can laugh at my face," the Phantom said sadly. "What do you mean?" "It can't be that bad." "Will you show me?" Christine asked gently. "No!" shouted the Phantom, suddenly angry. "Of all people, I don't want to show you." "But you are my friend. I wouldn't turn my back on you," she insisted. "No, Christine," he said firmly. They sat on in silence. "Did you make the chandelier fall tonight?" she asked. "Enough of your question," he roared so loudly Christine trembled. "I better take you back," he said more calmly with a sweep of his cloak. The boat changed direction. Chapter 7. A Disappearing Act. The next day, the manager sat in his office with Madame G. "We must get this Phantom. Little Pico is gone, Carlotta left us. The opera house is falling apart." All is not lost. Don't forget, we have Christine, said Madame G. The manager scratched his chin. You are right. There's something magical about her. Draw up a contact. Council Pass is hers. That afternoon, posters went up all around Paris, advertising the new star of the show. Before the show, Christine nervously paced her dressing room. It was one thing to do a single performance at the last minute, but quite another to be the leading lady forever. What if they hate me? She thought. But Christine was a born star. By the end of the show, she felt as if she had played the part of her life. The show was almost over when the orchestra abruptly stopped playing. The chorus stopped singing and the dancers stopped dancing. The audience shifted uncomfortably in their seat. What's going on? One of the audience said. Even the temperature seemed to drop. The only person who didn't stop was Christine. She continued to sing. With crackle, the light flashed and the stage went dark. Christine let out a scream that sent shivers down everyone's spine. The light flared back on the lining the stage. The trapdoor was open and Christine had vanished. It is part of the show? Where did she go? The audience said. The phantom must have taken her, he yelled. Through that trapdoor, follow me! The manager and Madame G jumped off the seat and ran after the cult. Chapter 8. The Phantom's Lair. The three of them disappeared under the opera house into the Phantom's secret world. They ran down the twisting tunnel until they reached the lake. There she is! The cult pointed to Christine, who was in the boat with Phantom. Mist floated around them. Give her back, you beast! I love her! No! Snarled the Phantom. She is mine now. Keep away. It's for the best, cult, Christine sobbed. The Phantom turned to Christine. I only wanted to be happy with a wife and family. But you can, Christine insisted. Who could love me? He growled. Let her go, shouted the cult. Don't worry, Christine, I'm coming over. He began to wade into the lake. Get back! Warned the Phantom, flicked his cock at the water around the boat, laced into flame. No! Screamed Christine. Leave him alone, and I will stay with you. She reached up and kissed the Phantom's cheek, where it wasn't hidden by the mask. Instantly, the fire went out. The Phantom fell his knee, crying. No one has ever kissed me, not even my own mother. You are the kindest person I have ever known. I told you I am your friend, said Christine, but you frightened me. I'm so sorry, he sobbed. I was just so lonely. Christine put a hand on his shoulder. They could hear the police whistle in the distance. I must go, the Phantom said. But Christine began and paused in shock. He had vanished. All that was left in the boat was the Phantom's mask. The boat floated to shore. Christine! Cried the cult, helping her out. You are safe now. They watched as the empty boat floated into the mist. The manager, Madame G, and the police looked around in bewilderment. Where is he gone? Madame G asked. Christine clutched the mask in her hand. Goodbye, my angel of music.